Today in the nerdy news you need to know about, Wonder Woman the video game has some leaks. Is Metroid Prime 4 running on the Switch 2? And PlayStation updates and down dates. Parentheses, Tim says this will make sense later. We'll have all this and more because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the engaged one at Tim Geddes.
10 days till the wedding, Greg.
Ooh-wee.
10 days till I'm no longer the engaged one. It's scary. It's exciting.
It's not scary.
Well, it's scary how much I have to do before then. That whole marriage part, that's all fun. That's all exciting. That's
Sure.
the funniest thing about all this. It's like, yeah, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we might as well have been married for 10 years at this point. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it's been a long time.
I love her more than anything, so I'm just excited to celebrate that with everybody. I feel like that bit gets lost when I've been talking about the wedding because I'm very much talking about the work parts of it.
You're talking about the production of it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that stuff, I mean, everybody knows that.
Yeah, people were talking to our friend, the tech tower, Scott Lowe, who was in the office last night. And when I say people, I really just mean Joey, because it was me and Joey at this point in the day. I don't know what's up with everybody leaving work early yesterday. All right? It was insulting. Mm-hmm. The employee handbook specifically says be here until 5 o'clock. People were leaving at 11 o'clock yesterday. You were one of them. Mm-hmm. Makes me sick to my fucking stomach.
Some of us were here at 6 a.m.
We'll save it for the employee reviews, Barrett. All right?
Yeah.
We'll save it for the employee reviews. I saw you.
6 a.m.
I saw you.
Yeah.
That's a personal choice by you.
Okay.
Who didn't show up to the Nintendo Direct?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Handbook says be here these times. I'm here for these times, all right? Anyways, though, on the way out, he had a lot of questions about your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, so what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. It's going to be a thing. And I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
He keeps me in the dark. He won't let me know. He wants me to be surprised. So I'm very, very excited about that, Tim.
Yeah, me too.
Tim,
Yes.
on top of all that, you dropped some link at the top.
Yeah, I just need a moment.
Is this a down date?
No, this is very much an update.
Okay.
I'm just still in the glow of yesterday. Nintendo Direct. Nintendo, 7 years into the Switch's life cycle, still just dropping bangers, announcing games month after month that I'm interested in, that people are interested in.
Yeah.
This is about to be the greatest. I mean, it's already, but it's about to be, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest game library on a console ever.
Wow.
I mean, just think about it. Think about how many bangers there's been. Think about how many bangers we have ahead of us.
They took all the Wii U games nobody played and put them out again.
But they were great, and now they're even better. There's a whole bunch of new games that are only on the Switch. And it's wild just how many, and especially now that like we're at the point that they're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel, but the bottom of the barrel at this point is remakes of Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door.
You're like, I really can't complain about this barrel bottom.
Kind of the best case scenario. And that Direct yesterday, I mean, look, like there was a ton of shit in there that was like garbage. Like that Funko Pop game. Like, people should be embarrassed.
Andy's the reaction / highlight that got broken out of that was so good of Andy just dogging on that game, understandably so.
Yeah,
like why show it if it runs that poorly?
I mean,
is that just the Switch version? Like that's running that badly, or what's going on there?
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
What I do know, Greg, is that while there was 40 minutes and probably 25 minutes of those were things I literally did not care about at all. That's a Nintendo Direct. That's totally fine.
That's any of these presentations.
I mean, yeah, but not like
with the
Xbox
exception
one.
Xbox was great.
You know what I mean? Like the thing is, like, it doesn't need to be. It's just there's the realities that we face with a lot of these things. So I understand that. I don't want to say give it a pass, but I understand it. But we got so many amazing announcements yesterday that I just can't believe. Like we are now in a world that we know what Metroid Prime 4 looks like. How?
Sure.
It just feels like this reminds me of like when the GTA 6 trailer dropped, and it's like, oh my god, it's real. It's not supposed to be real.
Yeah,
we're supposed to just talk about.
We talk about it.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, or Death Stranding is another one where it's just like that's just a thing you talk about. That game's never actually coming out, and then all of a sudden it's out. Wow, feel that way about Metroid Prime. Marvel vs. Capcom, like it's back, and it's just such a win. It's such a win, and Zelda, a playable Zelda game in the midst of like, a brand new game, like dream scenario stuff. But yeah, Barrett, if you could just bring up this art, come on, this new art for Marvel vs. Capcom is beautiful, and it's just there's so much love put into this art here, Greg.
Yeah.
there's something so special about the Marvel versus Capcom art dating back all the way to the originals, even the like Street Fighter versus X-Men, like all that stuff, X-Men versus Street Fighter. Just seeing these characters together makes me so excited. I remember so vividly being at Roundtable and they'd have that like mini arcade, and seeing the Marvel versus Capcom thing and just being entranced by these characters and knowing I wanted to be a part of that world. And like, that was my introduction to Marvel. Is seeing these characters and playing this game, and definitely my introduction to so many Capcom characters.
Sure.
And even Street Fighter itself. And I just love that this art has so much references and just like love for what came before it. Like everyone's freaking out about Spider-Man and Felicia there.
That's what I dropped. Not
Felicia.
Yeah.
Fucking what's her name?
This is one. I don't know who it is, but it's canon event with the old screenshot.
I love it.
First off, look at them. They're ready to make out. And then this one. Hope MJ doesn't mind if I'm late.
It's just wild. Like this has been going on for decades. And yeah, I don't know. I just absolutely Morgan. Thank you guys. Thank you. Not a Darkstalkers guy, just a Marvel versus Capcom guy. But I just love it. It just brings me so much joy. I'm so happy it's coming out. I'm so happy it's not just stuck on the Switch, that it's also on PlayStation and PC. It's a bummer it's not on Xbox, but there's reasons for that. But there you go. Anyway, it's exciting times for everybody.
It is exciting times, ladies and gentlemen, and we have so many video games to talk about because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about live on Twitch, YouTube, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, get that Kinda Funny membership. Of course, it gets you good karma because you're supporting a small business, but it also gets you all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch us record the afternoon podcast live as we record them, like Daredevil.
Oh my God.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil we got a review today.
Yes,
Jesus fucking Christ.
I can't wait.
What a cast. We'll save it for in review. And of course, you'd also get, I guess that was it, right? Yeah, that was the last one. Well, Gregway. No, Gregway. Each and every weekday you get a new Gregway. Multimedia experience. It's a podcast. It's a video. Eyes, ears. I'll fill all your holes. Of course, if you have no bucks tossed our way, no big deal. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe each and every week, day, depending on the show, for new stuff. Remember, like I said, we are a small business. We are an 11-person team all about live talk shows. Right now, of course, you're getting Kinda Funny Games Daily. But right after that, the Kinda Funny Games cast comes your way with the Summer Game Fest Awards 2024. We will go through all of the highlights, what we thought did best, what could have done better, and so much more. After that, you get the stream. Of course, the Jabroni Boys are playing Chained Together.
Mike is incredibly excited.
He walked in
this
today and said a new GOATY contender dropped, Chained Together. I don't know if he's serious or joking.
I mean,
he's serious that it'll definitely be on his top 10 games that he'll send to me that nobody else will vote for.
I mean, it sounds like it's about to be a streaming masterpiece. These boys chained together. Come on.
Sounds like Nick's going to leave angry today. You can check that out, of course, youtube.com/kindafunnygames. And like I said, twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're a Kinda Funny member, like I said, you get a Gregway. And today it is the untold story of the game that made Greg fall in love with video games. And like I said, In Review is recording live this afternoon. It is Daredevil. It is the 2003 Daredevil.
Which I've never seen until a couple nights ago.
God, your life was changed, Tim.
It really was.
I can't tell you how disturbing it was, how much I remembered. Like, I should have done a recap of it where I was watching with Scott and I was like, well, this is about to happen. We got to see this scene. I'm like, wait, why do I remember frame for frame Daredevil? God damn. Anyways, tomorrow, YouTube and podcast services, if you aren't a Kinda Funny member, but come on, help us out. Thank you to the people who help us out, our Patreon producers, Kieran Hovasapian, Carl Jacobs, Fargo Brady, and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays, Harry's, and A Better Paradise. But we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 7 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, Wonder Woman. A game that has not been on the tips of people's tongues, but it's been on the tip of my tongue as I talk about it and said it wouldn't be at SGF. Back and forth, yada, yada. Here we go. We have a little bit of news about a leak, but not the leak itself. So, Over at IGN, Wesley Yinpool reports that Wonder Woman's story and concept art has leaked. Warner Brothers Games' long in development Wonder Woman game appears to have suffered a leak stemming from an online marketing survey. Users on Reddit and Reset Era posted concept art and a synopsis of the Wonder Woman game currently in development at Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor maker Monolith Productions, based on this apparent survey. The concept art was subsequently removed from Imgur and various social media posts, quote, in response to a report from the copyright holder. It is unclear when the marketing survey was released. Warner Brothers declined to comment when contacted by IGN. Barrett's tossing it up. This, of course, for DC nerds like me, broke over the weekend or Monday, I forget. But I immediately had this one and a DC update, maybe in the inverse of that, of me and Chris Anka going back and forth, sharing the concept art, the thing, reading about it. Didn't know where it was coming from. Apparently a marketing survey that went wrong. IGN will not publish the leaked artwork or details, but the leak is worth being aware of if you're hoping to hop into the game completely fresh when it eventually comes out. Monolith is famous for Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system, which in that game generates seemingly endless possibilities for enemies you face, the way they act, and the stories that emerge when you face them again and again. The Nemesis system returns for Wonder Woman, Warner Brothers has confirmed. Wonder Woman was announced in December 2021 with a brief teaser trailer and description. Warner Brothers has remained largely quiet on the project in the years since, although we do know Wonder Woman is a single-player action-adventure game set in a dynamic open world. It's played in third person and lets players become Diana of Themyscira, an original story set within the DC universe. Based on what we know of the game and what we're hearing now, Wonder Woman sounds like a mix between the Batman Arkham games and Monolith's own Shadow of Mordor. Timothy?
Mm-hmm.
An interesting one to talk about because we're not talking about the news itself.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to IGN and everybody else who's reporting it this way. I think what's interesting about it from the games journalist side is that nobody can seem to nail down what the marketing leak was. No one has the survey. It's just the concept art and this description that's out about it, which I think
the actual source.
Which I think is why people aren't reporting on it, because you can't find the OG source of it, which makes sense to me. Yeah. Because if it was just, fucking WB put out a marketing survey by accident, I think that's fair game and report away on it. Yeah. But since you can't confirm or deny, I guess that's where it's coming from. People are being shy with it or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that I think, by the way, what I read about it in any way or saw from it is like some huge deal, but if Warner Brothers is being serious enough to go take it down, more power to them, I guess, whatever. Where I wanted to really take this conversation is twofold.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, when do you actually think we see Wonder Woman again, and when do we play Wonder Woman in terms of it's not vaporware and it's actually released?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that there's even surveys being put out about marketing for the game is more than I kind of expected. Like, this is a game that I would not be surprised if we never see. But I feel like most times I say that, the game ends up coming out. The world of gaming works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And the amount of projects that are so much, like Perfect Dark was at the Xbox Showcase.
And it looked fucking good.
There's just so much we don't know.
Yeah.
And we're just like working off of little information or just like hunches based on previous experience of how game development tends to go. The fact that it was announced at the end of 2021 and we still don't have anything, it's annoying to me at the very least. Like I don't like that type of game announcement stuff. Like I've said this.
That's such an old school way to announce a game.
But also, like, is it? Like, I feel like it's old school in the way that a long time was a year or two out. You know, like now it should not be normal that games are being announced and we haven't heard from them in. I imagine will be 4 or 5 years until this game is actually being talked about and shown. Like, that's
you figure it's
silly.
Best case scenario, we get another trailer at Game Awards. More realistically, I think next year, come the summer, whether it be a PlayStation State of Play or something SGF related, we see it there. And then you're wondering, is it actually coming out in the fall? I would say no. I bet this is a January 2026.
Yeah, I mean,
first half of
and like there are people in the chat are saying Elder Scrolls or some other games. There are examples of games, but I put that in a different category. When we're talking about a big established like sequel thing that it's like we know they're working on it, but it's like let's just confirm we're working on it so that we can move on from people waiting for the announcement.
Yeah,
that's very different than like the James Bond IO game or this or just like newer products that we're just talking about because we're excited for. I would say like the Jedi Survivor games or Jedi games Fallen Order being an example of it, but then Survivor, it's like you can announce that whenever because it's a sequel. Like, there's different levels to all of this.
And that brings me to my second question and what we've titled the show and what I need from you in the super chats, ladies and gentlemen, and NBs. Do you, and I'll start with you, Tim, care about a Wonder Woman game? Is this Wonder Woman game meaningful in 2024, 2025, 2026?
I mean, I think the answer for me is no, but I think the answer overall is yeah. Like, do I think that Wonder Woman is the most popular IP ever? No, but it's way more popular than a lot of things. And I think that the Nemesis system and what they got going on over there is like, that is a style of gameplay that people are yearning for and like. And I feel like you throw any IP on that and it's going to hit, right? I mean, if it could work for Lord of the Rings the way that it did, Lord of the Rings is huge, and like Lord of the Rings games are very popular, but I also don't think that it's necessarily like the biggest thing. And I feel like that's similar to Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's under Lord of the Rings, but like not by much.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think a DC game, I do think that DC's fucked up so much, like in the movies and in the games recently, that like, yeah, it's kind of tarnished. I don't think that there's like a inherent excitement around DC.
Yeah. That's my thing. And of course, if you're new around here and you don't know, I'm a DC fanboy, possibly DC fanboy number one. Like, I can't fucking wait for this Wonder Woman game. I don't care. I'll drink sand. Give me any DC property. That, you know what I mean? Let's go. Let's fucking do something that's not just a garbage. Don't even get me started. I'm excited for this game. But as I sit here and like the leak happens, and then of course we're going off of the trailer, I wonder what the hype level is for the general audience. Because to your point that you made twice there, really, right, is that this is a weird announcement to make of, hey, we're making a Wonder Woman game when it's so far away, when it's not nearly imminent. I don't think there's so much fervor to Wonder Woman, a character I love, that there's this audience that's like, holy shit, yes, I can't wait, da-da-da-da. You could have done that way later and made an impact and shown the game and done something there. Then it's the question just of, since you treating the IP like that and tiring people out or putting it out and not getting the overwhelming holy shit, it's not Batman. It's not Batman, right?
Not Batman. Few things are, though.
I know. But I mean, like, I feel like you have to build to that. And again, what the EU has done to Wonder Woman, what in general it's been where we are in general with Wonder Woman. Then to compare it to, like an IP that matters, right? That people care about, and to talk about Lord of the Rings and what that is, and to talk about Batman, and talk about Spider-Man, and talk about those of what they are, then you get to this thing where it's just like, I just worry that I care a lot about this game. And I know I see people in the chat that care a lot about this game. Can you make the general consumer, general gamer show up? And then this brings in the second part of our headline, which is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I've been having conversations with casually after Xbox and how great it was. And again, like, I'm excited for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle because of, Machine Games, rad. Troy's in it. That's great. They're taking a movie franchise that I like enough and doing a video game of it. That sounds cool. But it's into a similar question of, does the mainstream, does the giant gamer audience care enough about Indiana Jones that that's going to move the needle? When we look at it and go, and I know first person, it's different, it's this, it's that. But when you look at it, you're like, it could be Xbox's Uncharted. Could it be? Like, do you think that this has that kind of cachet?
No, I definitely don't. We've talked about Indiana Jones in this context a lot on Games Daily, and it's tough because like the answer to your question is like, no, I don't think Indiana Jones is like the biggest thing ever that's gonna like bring all these people in the type of ways we're talking. I also just think in the state that we're in 2024, where there is IP fatigue, just period. Like franchises, and like, it's cool to not like IP. It's cool to hate on things, and it's cool to be like, I'm better than that. Where the reality is, and I've said this a million times, Indiana Jones will sell more than a Wolfenstein.
Sure.
And I feel like that to me is like, but then we're talking about the talented developers that we expect to bring the heat with this game. I do think on the flip of that, though, there's going to be a lot more criticism and a lot more shit talk about Indiana Jones of like, who's asking for this? No one cares about Indiana Jones, like every single level of that. And I also feel like Indiana Jones hasn't had anything great in decades. And that is troublesome. But like, that hasn't stopped Star Wars in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like, I'm throwing a bit more shade than I actually mean to there. But like, I feel like there's ways for the IP to rise above and like become relevant, and I also don't think it needs to be the biggest thing in the world.
Sure.
And it's the same point with Wonder Woman. Like, it's not Batman. It'll never be Batman. But like Batman, Spider-Man are on a level all their own. Like, I put them up there with a Mario. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of their power to sell things and their power to bring people in and across media. I don't think Indiana Jones has that. Wonder Woman doesn't have that. Like, there are very few things on that echelon. And I feel like indie is exciting. I don't think it's exciting to the biggest group of people ever, but that's okay.
I also think the indies, the one we've talked about before, that'll get mainstream coverage. That'll be in Entertainment Weekly. They'll do some kind of photo shoot with Harrison Ford and Troy Baker or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's things to be thrown around there, and that is a interesting property to bridge the gap. As we look back to Wonder Woman, as we look back to DC, right? Super chat here from Tricky Kappa says, DC Games is a brand I have trouble trusting in right now. Understandable. And I wonder, with the Wonder Woman part of it, right? Is there a chance of a return on investment? Because to sit here and for us to say, it's not Batman, it's not Spider-Man, few things are, even remove the leak information that we saw and just what they've talked about before and how what this game seems to, it seems like they're making a Batman or Spider-Man-like game. At which point I go, is Wonder Woman a big enough IP to carry that load and justify that production cost? Again, now as we're talking about a game that was announced in 2021, it's 2024. When are you actually playing it? When are you actually buying it? When did it go to pre-production? WB in general, constantly in a state of flux with who's owning it and who cares about what and da-da-da-da. Like, this seems like a fucking money pit.
You bring in that, it's like, well, yeah, I think many things are doomed. I think many things have problems. And it's like, yeah, I do have very, very big concerns about, does this make sense? And when we look at WB games specifically in the last couple of years, no, it doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like we can all say that definitively. A Wonder Woman game that's taking this long to develop does not make sense for them. And I think it's going to be a financial struggle for them.
Yeah. That
sucks. I wish that wasn't the case. The gaming industry would need to be in a very different place for that to not be the case. The budget for this game doesn't need to be as big as a Spider-Man or the Batmans that you're talking about. The
scope of this game doesn't need to be that big, right?
It just simply doesn't.
Because, by the way, everybody who's if you're excited for this fucking thing and you've ever talked shit about a Superman game, what the fuck's wrong with you? But I digress.
Like, the scope of it, and, talking about scope of games can be
especially
complicated because, like,
as an aside and a footnote, especially for a game that we don't know anything officially about.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't expect the scope of this game to be the most expensive game ever. I do think it's going to be Shadow of Mordor type stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bigger, but, I mean, just because modern things are. But, like, I don't think it's going to be, like, the biggest game ever.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm like, what the fuck's taking so long?
I mean, games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a stupid, well, if this, then that, chicken and egg back and forth conversation that, like, is unfortunate. But, like, yeah, we should not have heard about this game that long ago, because then it leads to us having conversations like this that sour the excitement over both Indiana Jones and Wonder Woman.
Like, what would you have lost? There's always the argument for recruiting, which I get to a degree, but I also don't fucking buy, because our industry is so small that it's like, if you were hiring for a Wonder Woman project and you didn't want the general public to know, you could easily get to the talented developers out there and not have the whole world talking about it. Or maybe there's just an undercurrent scuttlebutt that you've heard. Oh, we know Jason Schreier reports that Monolith is. Who cares? I imagine if you had done this SGF or this upcoming Game Awards, you drop that trailer and then the game comes in the next year. Like, awesome, great. No time for us to be sitting around going, what's wrong? For me to say, like, I heard from an insider in the past year that they said it was troubled. Like, not great.
Not great.
I want to do more indie stuff because that's what the super chats are talking about. In the vein of indie, right, and do you care? Chaz Mike, I would imagine, comes in. Maybe it's Chase Mike. They're leaving out a lot of vowels. Read the title of the show. Gen Z grew up in the indie revival during the lead up to Crystal Skull. Tons of baked in nostalgia. Keep up the great work. Heart.
Yeah. I would argue against that. Like, I think there was definitely an attempt for that. Like, you had Lego Indiana Jones. Like, I'm thinking about it in the framework of my little cousin, who was like the perfect age for them trying to build up to the hype of Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was there, but I don't feel like there's a lot of passion from, like, they didn't bake in a passion because, you didn't have a great movie for them to attach to like have that nostalgia. So if they see an Indiana Jones game today, they're going to think, oh yeah, I played that Lego game like 15 years ago. I don't really care about Indiana Jones as like a thing like that they feel impassioned to go out for. So I don't know.
I just feel like it's the type of thing you don't need to be entirely impassioned and informed on these things. It's more like, oh, I've heard of that. This is a great entry point for me to understand it. Just like I was talking about Marvel versus Capcom earlier. It's like I didn't know these characters, and then I did because the thing was cool.
Yeah.
If Machine Games puts out an awesome Indiana Jones game and everyone's like, this thing's awesome, that's great. If the game's not awesome, then all this goes out the window anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like Indiana Jones does not need to be the thing bringing people in. It could just be the skin on a great thing that people are then like, oh, I like Indiana Jones now. You know, I feel like Indiana Jones, for me, I watched the movies for the first time and in review a handful of years ago after this game was announced. Like, I do not have a touchstone nostalgia for the movies whatsoever. I love the theme song. I love the ride. That's enough for me to have a passion for Indiana Jones to the extent that I need to be excited for this game.
Sure. It's interesting. I think IP is always so interesting in terms of what it can do, where Lord of the Rings, the Nemesis system, I was like, the Nemesis system sounds awesome. I don't like Lord of the Rings. And so I played an hour and I was like, I get it and I wish I cared. I can't. Hogwarts Legacy, obviously, was so many people's dream games, right? And I was like, I just don't care about Harry Potter that way, so I'll never touch that game. There's that, you know what I mean? And
totally.
We're talking, and I keep saying, there's a lot of, I know what I mean today, sorry. It is that idea that, like, I wonder with Wonder Woman, if it is, all right, cool, it's going to be a 20-hour Wonder Woman game. Like, how good that review score has to be for somebody to be like, I care about gods and goddesses enough to come in and play this thing. I care about DC superheroes enough to play that. But is it even like pulling on the DC strings, or is it just going to be like Wonder Woman and you care enough about Wonder Woman that way? And same thing for indie, where I guess in indie, hey, we're making a game that I assume, I don't know, tell me, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong or super chat me. I assume indie's going to be what? 10 hours, 12 hours?
Yeah.
Not 20.
No, I hope not.
Right, I don't want that.
No.
And so if it is like, hey, we're giving you a Rick-rolling adventure, it's on Game Pass, it's all these things, it feels like the pulp adventure indie, Troy's doing a great performance, well, like, I can see that being a thing that you'd, even if you don't care about indie, you'd come into, because who doesn't like shooting and whips?
But again, I just want to say this. Like, obviously, everybody wants their game to be the biggest hit of all time. There is no way that Xbox Game Studios is looking at Indiana Jones as the one that is going to break the bank and be the number one selling game of the year. Look at the sales of any Wolfenstein game in the past. That's probably their barometer. That is probably what they're trying to get past.
Yeah.
I think that they will. Although Game Pass fucks things up, so I don't know.
The other one I had here was from CJ, who super chats, says, the release timing for Indiana Jones is weird. December release feels like it's going to be this year's Avatar.
It better not be December, man.
I don't think it hits this year. I'm going to be honest. I feel like if they're...
Did you use gut feeling, or is it based on what we saw?
Gut feeling. Also, I don't think in terms of like production of what we saw in that trailer, like, oh God, this game's not ready. It feels the way that they're playing it, or we've kind of heard December. I forget like if we've ever heard that officially, or we're just assuming. I don't know. That indie feels like if they had like a December date, they could have easily put that into the showcase. And I feel like December is just, when you put December like a year ago or earlier this year or whenever that was thrown out.
They didn't.
They never did. So why, like, everybody's assuming December?
Because yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like that's one that could easily slip just to get past, like, oh, we want this game to hit after the kind of, like, hangover of, like, the holiday period and Black Friday and stuff like that, if they're not going to get it out before Black Friday, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I expect it this year, but I just really hope it's not December. I think that's going to doom the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, like, not a good time.
I agree.
But I also don't think that indie needs Black Friday. I just think we're running out of time.
You don't think so?
Indiana Jones? I don't think so.
I think it's helpful. Yeah, I think that would work in a way of like, if you're a dad or a mom, or you're out there, you're an aunt or uncle or whatever, and it's like, oh fuck, I like indie. I bet. Oh, there's a game now or whatever, and I don't even know how much that literally happens or actually happens. You know
I just think that like not every game can benefit from Black Friday, because like if all the games are coming out around there, they're like there's a problem. But if it were coming out like 2 months earlier, that I feel like would be ideal. Indiana Jones should come out in August, everybody. It's not going to, but it should. I'll even give them September.
Okay, fair enough. I would like those days. James super chats and says, if the indie whip mechanic works well, does that open the door for a first-person Castlevania?
Not in a direct way.
I mean, I say they wouldn't do it, right? Like that'd be Konami. Konami's watching it. Who knows what they're gonna do with Castlevania next? But no, I don't think you have to worry about that. And then Big Five says, I wonder how the male gaze affects underestimating Wonder Woman. Listen, if you haven't been on the internet recently, there's a bunch of chuckle fuck assholes out there who just want to throw around woke and everything else. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. When they actually do start talking about Wonder Woman and people wake up to who the fuck Wonder Woman actually is, this fucking badass from an island of women, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare.
They made Wonder Woman woke.
Do not be part of the discourse. Do not engage with the discourse when the discourse begins of people being like, the top 5 woke things from Wonder Woman's trailer.
God.
Buses in Bridges says with Avowed eyeing November. When, Indy?
And that's where the December is coming from, is people just kind of placing things where there's openings.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, man, I don't know. But again, this is going to be a problem that Xbox is going to face because the dominoes are about to begin, Greg. They are falling, and there are so many of them. And a problem with dominoes, if they're stacked too close together, it fucks things up.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
They stop knocking everything down nicely. And I think that that's not really going to be a problem because Game Pass functions differently. But I think over long term, that's going to be a problem because the money's not going to be coming in for these things. But you can release 3 games in a month if people are playing those 3 games and if people are able to just download the game and get to it at their pace and stuff. But that's just not how money is made in games. So scary.
We'll have to wait and see too, because I just feel like Avowed and Indie are such different things. And that's part of Xbox's dominoes, but getting them too close to your point is a problem as well. But I really feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, super chat away, or I'll be watching the free chat too, but like, Avowed seemed to lose a lot of steam when it showed its gameplay. When it did that first gameplay and we all watched it and we're like, okay, and it was like, I think Andy got turned off to it. I was like, this looks like a Bethesda, even though it's Obsidian, but it looks like that kind of RPG, which I'm into, but I'm not into this setting, so it feels like Avowed is scoped down in terms of who that's for.
Avowed seems to be going back and forth. I feel like every presentation it has, it wins some people and loses others, and then just back and forth. I'm very
interested in trying it.
Yeah, and where it actually lands.
Looking at the chat, it's all over the place there. I can't tell what Avowed says.
Yeah.
To be honest. We'll find out. Ladies and gentlemen, what I can tell you is, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. We're here each and every weekday running you through the nerdy news you need to know about. If you like that, support us with the Kind of Funny membership. Of course, you can pick it up on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames or youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. You'd get all of our shows ad-free. You'd get the ability to watch live as we record the afternoon podcasts. And of course, you'd get the daily vlog/multimedia experience known as Gregway. But guess what? You're not using your benefits right now, so here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I am out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KF20 for $20 off each pair of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. This episode is brought to you by Harry's. I always hate when I buy something and then I talk to someone else and I realize I way overspent and they got it for cheaper. It's happened to all of us, but getting ripped off is no joke, especially when there's razors involved. The people at Harry's were tired of seeing everyday people paying way too much for low quality shaving products. So they found a way to make beautifully designed razors without laughably high prices. You can get better designed and better value grooming products made by a company that forged their own path in the grooming industry. Harry's has been keeping me looking right for years, and you already know I'm going to count on them for a high quality shave for my wedding. Highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. No risk trial. You don't like your shave? No worries. It's on them. Convenient subscription options that allow you to cancel at any time, and you can stop getting ripped off. With Harry's, you can get a shave that's a cut above the rest. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/kindafunny. That's harrys.com/kindafunny for a $3 trial set.
This episode is brought to you by A Better Paradise. From the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series comes the new immersive audio fiction podcast, A Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began to deliver unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances, and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant, and undiscovered. Until now. I listened to episode 1 on my way to work today, and the thing that stood out, of course, are the performances, but then as an audio drama fan, it was the use of monologues. There's a whole bunch of talking here that sets up the world that is not that far from us in the timeline, and also not that far from us in the technology, which is disturbing, but I'm quite interested to see where it goes. A Better Paradise is out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts. Go listen today, and don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode. And we're back with breaking kind of funny news.
Whoa.
When the show went live today, the tweet went live and the store went live. We have a kind of funny merch drop, everybody. Of course, for Pride. Barrett, roll it for him.
We're celebrating Pride Month with a brand new drop designed by kind of funny best friend, Cameron French. We have tank tops, t-shirts, crew necks, and more. So whether you're going to the beach or the mountains this summer, we've got you covered. And we're donating a portion of sales to 2 incredible organizations, Queer Life Space and Denver-based Center on Colfax. Head over to kindafunny.com/store before the month ends. We're celebrating Pride Month with
I'm
a
wearing a
brand
shirt
new
right
drop.
now. One of them.
There
like
it is.
I like the other one, though, with the circles. I got to get the circles,
I mean,
too.
I love this one.
This is a great one, too.
N64. Gotta love it.
Maybe you
Cameron
heard of it.
French.
So
Amazing.
talented.
So talented.
So
So
amazing.
cool. Getting interviewed.
Where?
Colorado Press.
Yeah, something like that. I forget to. I tweeted about it yesterday, but I forgot where it was. That's why I threw
I
it
love
to
his shirt, though. I bought one of his design shirts a while back, and I wear it all the time. I wore it to SGF.
Very cool. Kindafunny.com/store to be part of our latest merch drop, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. Number 2 on the Roper Report. Yesterday was that Nintendo Direct. Tim is still freaking out about it. Nipples as hard as possible. But IGN's Alex Simmons asked, was Metroid 4 running on Switch 2? He has a very long intro to get to this. Digital Foundry's technology editor, Richard Ledbetter, gave us the definitive answer. Quote, it's looking great, and there are a couple of nice effects in there we took a closer look at. But ultimately, all the evidence points to this game running on the original Switch. The internal rendering resolution counts out at 900p, which is the same as Metroid Prime Remastered. And as good as it is, there are some aliasing issues and even some very minor frame rate drops. Everything about the visual makeup is consistent with a really well-made Switch game where Retro has an excellent track record. I can imagine the development studio is really happy with that people are making the connection to Switch 2, mind you, end quote. So, this is back to IGN. Although many were convinced we'd had our first look at a Switch 2 game in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, the truth is it's likely running on existing hardware. While that's disappointing for some, it's also hardly surprising. I expect Nintendo to pull out all the stops when the Switch successor is finally revealed rather than stealth drop our first look at the end of an admittedly surprising Nintendo Direct. Tim, did you ever think this looks so good it could be Switch 2?
This is so silly to me. Like, when we all watched yesterday, I mean, I think this looks great, but all of us were like, oh man, I think it's going to be also on Switch 2. Yeah. And I think it's going to look better on Switch 2. But I don't think it's going to look significantly better, but I imagine higher res, probably better frame rate, things like that.
Because honestly, the assets and all this stuff remind me of Prime 1 Remaster.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if anybody that's like, oh, this isn't running on Switch 1, they clearly did not play Metroid Prime last year.
Yeah.
It looked like this. Maybe not exactly like this. I think there's a bit more things happening, but that's just because Metroid Prime didn't have that many things happening, and it was just a remake of that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Just, background, ships flying by and shots and stuff. This is exactly what I'd imagine a end of life cycle Switch game looking like.
Sure.
You know, but it looks fantastic to me, and I love the idea that it could look even better on a Switch too. But yeah, the thing about Metroid is the art style is so good. It doesn't need to look realistic. It shouldn't look realistic. It shouldn't be
style.
A giant open world sandbox game, whatever. It's Metroid. Make a Metroid game. This is a Metroid game. It looks damn good. Right. Very excited about it. But yeah, I'm happy to hear it's not the Switch 2, because I want the Switch 2 to look better.
do you think how are they going to do it? You think for Switch 2 is it going to be one? Is it?
Oh, Greg, what a question. This is now that we know that Metroid Prime 4 is not 2024, is 2025, and we don't know when, and we don't know when the Switch 2 is happening, but we know it's next year. There are so many possibilities of like where everything can fall. We talked about it on our breakdown Games Daily yesterday, but I don't have anything that I'm confident in at this point. I don't know where I can put my foot down on it, because the one thing that I truly believe is that Metroid Prime 4 is not a launch title for the Switch 2.
Okay, so you don't think it's doing the bridging it?
No. I just don't think that it has the stuff for that. And I think that you don't want to put Metroid Prime out the same day as a 3D Mario, because you're stepping on yourself there.
Of course,
Nintendo doesn't need to
the
do
dominoes
that.
can't put it too close.
Exactly. And when you look at Nintendo's release calendar for the last year and looking at the year forward, they're very aware of that these days. They are very much trying to put out one game a month. That has been their strategy since the beginning of the Switch. They haven't always done it, and they're not always the games of the most consequence, but that is their strategy, and it clearly seems to be working for them. And I think that they're going to ride the momentum through the end of the Switch into the Switch 2. I imagine we will get many crossover titles. I don't even know what that looks like, though, whether it's just the game works on both and like it just runs better on the Switch 2, or if it's different SKUs or anything in between. I don't think it's going to be perfect. I think it's going to be more similar to the PlayStation generation jump as opposed to the Xbox generation jump. But I don't know. Like I was talking to Barrett yesterday, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if Metroid Prime 4 ends up coming out on both systems months after the Switch launch.
Andy says he wouldn't be surprised if Metroid Prime 4 launches on Switch 2 30 years later.
I'd be surprised about that.
That would be surprising. 30 years is a long time.
I think that they launched day and date same time. Day and date on both
I follow you.
consoles.
I follow.
But
That makes a lot of sense.
and I see the argument of like, oh no, they'll put out on Switch 1 and then re-release it again. I just don't see them doing that. I feel like they want to give the offer to people that want the.
They've done it with
buy
Zelda,
one.
right? I mean, so many times.
Yeah, but that's launch title though.
Yeah.
That's where this gets a little bit weird. But I
see
think
what you're
we're in a different time where we're talking about the success of the Switch, that they want to keep the momentum going. So I feel like you launch the Switch 2 with a 3D Mario or a Mario Kart. I don't think they're like, if you have those to do, you use them.
Yeah.
And then Metroid Prime is the couple months down the line type thing.
I think just kind of again talking about like thinking about the other discussions we've had on Switch. Will like it be backwards compatible? Will enhance those games that you've already purchased in some sort of way? I could see it being that kind of what I was talking about yesterday. Metroid Prime 4 launches sometime in the first quarter of next year, and then we don't actually get the Switch successor until later in the year. And then
an incredibly likely outcome. Like I feel like that is something that I do not want to be true, and I do not think is going to be true. Like I think that Switch 2 is going to follow the exact same Switch cycle of October. It gets officially shown and announced.
Yep.
January we get the blowout. March we get the release.
There's something about the vibes, Tim, where I'm
get
feeling later in the year for some reason, and I could see it being that like. A lot of games are considered quote unquote launched games because, you know, the Switch successor might be backwards compatible, and maybe we do get some enhancements for, you know, Tears of the Kingdom that might need it, and Metroid Prime 4 if it's already out and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I am with
that
you.
would be like a normal video game company decision. We're talking about Nintendo here, so.
WNDs, throw them up in chat.
If the Switch 2 is later in the year, I think Metroid Prime is earlier in the year, and I do not think that it'll be the day and date cross thing.
Okay.
But I don't think that's going to be the case.
I can't keep it straight because they switched to and all this stuff. They haven't said anything about officially like the first quarter or first half of the year. That's a rumor though, right? Or was at one point?
I think that's just, again, I was making assumptions based on
trying to fill
what
in
happened
gaps
last time and filling in gaps and the release schedule of games that Nintendo had, which up until yesterday, we just knew nothing past June. And now we know things all the way through January. Greg, they gave a release date for Donkey Kong January 2025. Like an actual date.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Wild.
They're in, man. They love Donkey Kong.
Get
Year of
in
the
or
Kong.
get out. Give them every year. Decade of the Kong.
Whoa, decade of the
Country.
Kong. Whoa. I was enjoying yesterday when they did the Luigi's Mansion 2 HD thing, and so many people were like, "Oh man, this release date." And they announced this months ago. Nobody paid attention. Nobody knew. You got to pay attention.
Now, Greg,
Luigi.
you got to
pay
this.
attention.
I've said this on every Games Daily I've been on for like a month. It feels like at this point. How many copies of Luigi's Mansion 3 have been sold?
Lots.
14 million.
Yep. Great game.
Oh yeah, but that's power
Do
of Luigi.
you expect that?
Would you kill Luigi or would you kill Link?
If I worked at Nintendo?
No,
What?
if you were in a room and they were both blindfolded and you were handed a gun.
I mean, Luigi's a fellow Ghostbuster. I got to kill Link. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Get out of here with your weird fucking hand.
There we go.
No. Interestingly, do you think? I think Luigi's Mansion 3, such a juggernaut, well deserved. So much fun. Gary wouldn't shut up about it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I love a Luigi's Mansion, though. I love a Luigi's Mansion.
Hello.
Do you think that this Luigi's Mansion 2 HD will do remarkably better since people might have missed it on 3DS? I
Yeah.
played it on 3DS.
So again, sorry to repeat myself a lot.
Sorry,
'cause
buddy.
we've been talking a lot of Nintendo recently, and a lot about Luigi's Mansion specifically. But my theory is they're renaming it from Dark Moon to Luigi's Mansion 2 to kind of trick people into thinking, oh, it's the sequel to the one I played a couple of years ago.
Sure.
And when you look at the sales numbers, even of the Luigi's Mansion, the ports that they've been doing, they're through the roof. So yeah, I think Luigi's Mansion 2 is going to sell very well. Bless and I were predicting around the 7 to 9 million range,
Oh, nice. Okay.
which for a port of a 3DS
Sure.
game is wild.
Hell yeah. Can't wait. Speaking of can't wait, a lot of PlayStation Stars people have been waiting. Number 3 on the Roper Report. PlayStation Stars has been down for 2 weeks. This is Armina Khan over at PlayStation Lifestyle.
This was the down date.
This is the down.
PlayStation down date.
PlayStation Stars has been down for nearly 2 weeks now, with members of the rewards program struggling to get a uniform answer from PlayStation support agents. Sony's support staff is infamous for their lack of information, but in the absence of an official statement, players have no option but to contact the helpline. Days after the rewards program went offline, Sony acknowledged that PS Stars is, quote, currently experiencing issues. Our engineers are aware of the issue and are working on a solution, reads a message on PlayStation's website as well as the PS app. Interestingly, the PS app was recently updated and received a new animation for PlayStation Stars, but clicking it leads to the message above. There's no ETA for a fix. Over on Reddit, players have been posting screenshots of their chats with Sony support agents. While some players have been reassured that their rewards points will remain intact and they will receive points for the purchases during the outage, others have been told to wait for the program to go back online if they want to receive points. In other words, nobody truly knows what's going on with PlayStation Stars and whether there will be any compensation for this outage or not. Let me get the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, there we go.
Shake it, shake it, shake it. Magic 8 Ball. Will the sales and the purchases during this thing count? Outlook not so good. No,
Not so
that's
good.
not going to happen. Don't
No.
fucking for a second think that's going to happen. PlayStation support agents, notoriously garbage. Remember when I called them on Podcast Beyond? They tried to tell me Gears of War was on the PlayStation? They don't know what the fuck they're talking. They don't even know what PlayStation
What?
Stars is. And that's because nobody knows what PlayStation Stars is. I put up the Michael Jordan reaction gif laughing to this story, and people were like, one guy was like, "Boy, all right, there's somebody who gets their games for free. Are you making fun of people?" No, I'm making fun of fucking digital game goods and my little Shuhei Yoshida trophy and all these dumb fucking things. And I was like, this is a stupid thing to invest time and money in. They're just going to stop supporting it one day. And then out of the blue, they stopped
They just
supporting
stopped.
it. And it took 2 weeks for someone to be like, hey, wait a second, this is fucked
We
up.
got a super chat about this.
Write an article.
Up to almost 2 weeks ago, just someone just being like, "Hey, did y'all notice this was down?" It's like, no.
No. But again,
did.
like, we're conflating two different things, and I do want to call that out. That PlayStation Stars as a reward program of getting you PlayStation Stars currency or coins, I think it's coins, right? To then make a purchase and get PSN credit. Great idea.
Great
They should
stuff,
do it.
for
Nintendo
sure.
does it.
Do it
Xbox
right.
does it. Yes, of course. That is great. There should be a loyalty rewards program that when you buy something, you get something. I like that. I'm not talking shit about that. I'm specifically talking shit about how stupid the NFTs that weren't NFTs were, and the fact they just fucking blinked out of existence. And there's, you know what I mean? Just what the fuck, man? You know what I mean? Eventually it'll
God.
come back, I'm sure. But I hope it comes back and it's just like, cool. It's a rewards program for buying things.
Yeah,
You don't
hey,
get-
sorry, we
you don't
lost
get,
all the
You don't
the
get a
pictures.
stars level, and you don't get this. Yeah, you lost your Horizon fucking Thunderjaw statue. You couldn't do anything with. Fucking ridiculous. But number 4, good news. PlayStation Portal has a system software update. 3 bullet points for you. Number 1, the sign-in screen support for select public Wi-Fi networks. The blog reads, to connect to these public Wi-Fi networks, PlayStation Portal will display a QR code for you to scan with your smartphone or tablet. Once scanned, you'll be able to use your mobile device's web browser to complete the additional validation steps on behalf of your PlayStation Portal. As a reminder, PlayStation Portal requires Wi-Fi connection, blah, blah, blah. Basically, if you didn't know, you couldn't use your PlayStation Portal with a hotel Wi-Fi because of it asking for things and there not being a browser built in.
Great.
Great addition. The next one is new visual feedback for the touchpad areas. Right now, if you touch the touchpad, it pops up and you touch it. This one has a line for your finger. You can kind of see what you're doing.
Another awesome update that has been something that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have thought about this implementation, but there's been multiple times playing on my Portal where the touchscreen stuff, I'm a little bit like, oh, is it registering? Am I doing this right? So just getting a little bit of feedback, I think, is going to go a long way.
Love that. And then, display battery level percentage they put in there. Also good.
Cool.
Instead of just having the visual, now you can actually see the percentage on it. There's interesting things from the blog that I liked. I call them factoids. Maybe you do too. Quote, we're excited to see that PlayStation Portal has introduced many more gamers to the remote play feature on PS5, with over 60% of PlayStation Portal owners using the feature for the first time. Not surprising.
Not surprising, but very cool.
And then the other one was, what's more, PlayStation Portal is making it easier for many players to access their games, with the average PlayStation Portal owner's engagement on PS5 going up within the first 8 weeks of using their PlayStation Portal.
Awesome.
Tim, PlayStation Portal launched in November.
Mm-hmm.
I literally use it every day. What about you? Are you still using it? What are you doing with it?
I use it a lot, but since I got my Steam Deck OLED, I use it a lot less. And again, this is a very Tim thing, but I love OLED so much. It just it really changes my experience with tech. But I also love the DualSense so much. Yeah. And that's my problem, is that the Portal is so good. It's so fantastic. The fact that it has all the actual haptics and it is essentially a DualSense, a little bit smaller, but it is a DualSense. It just feels so damn good. And I just wish that I could take that and put it onto the Steam Deck OLED.
Sure.
Or even if the PlayStation Portal, well, if it was OLED and if it had the features that the Steam Deck has, because playing PlayStation Remote Play on the Steam Deck OLED via, I forget the name of the thing, but it is so much better than the Portal. Like, it's kind of upsetting, but it's also double the price. So it makes sense.
When you say better than the Portal, you mean just the screen or latency? Or?
It's all of it.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
It's the latency's better, the resolution's better, like just all of it is just better. And I did many tests of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth back to back, and I actually played a fair bit on each one. And I think there are pros and cons, but most of them fall back onto the controller itself. But yeah, in terms of like the way things run, it is definitely better on the Steam Deck. That's not to say the Portal's not great, because I think it is. I have a great Wi-Fi setup, so of course your mileage may vary on all this stuff. But for a direct one-to-one comparison for this stuff, I am shocked at how great of an experience the PlayStation Portal is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't, for me, as a Portal user and somebody who used Steam Deck before then, I don't have a latency or difference there. Obviously, the screen would be different for you. I don't have the OLED Steam Deck or whatever, but I'm always shocked how well the Portal works for the stuff I'm playing, whether it be a Diablo or Fallout 76 or whatever it is that I'm tinkering with that night. I just love that goddamn thing so much, so I'm happy to see it being supported and being, at least on some level, a success for PlayStation right here of what they're talking about.
Chiaki.
Yep, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah, Roger got me all hooked up with all that stuff, and it was changed my life.
Good old Roger.
Roger's the best.
Speaking of something that might be the best, Gregway, we have your Blood Review Roundup. This is number 5 on the Roper Report. These actually posted while we've been doing the Nintendo Direct and the Crazy Week or whatever. But if you're a visual person watching this, #Blood is the video game. You might remember it from several different reaction streams we've done where we've been interested in what it is. Of course, the official description from Steam reads, save your friends, fight off the vampire apocalypse, and survive the horrors of freshman field hockey practice in #Blood, a delightfully zany animated dungeon crawler that blurs the line between action RPGs and hyperkinetic 90s cartoons. That's always been what we see. When we see the trailer, trailers, we always talk about it looking like something off Adult Swim or Toonami or something to that effect. Right now, Metacritic has got a 76. Not that many reviews in, though. Over on Twinfinite, Damano Gurley says, while the small-town vampire apocalypse of Blood will fail to interest those looking for a serious dungeon crawler RPG, it will satisfy those longing for a simpler, zany 90s cartoon experience. Lee Price at Silicon Era gave it an 8 out of 10 and said, design issues start seeping in the later sections. Some puzzle sequences are simply not fun as they involve constantly spawning enemies that can knock you off your progress while you move slowly back across an awkward space. There's also a late game forced stealth sequence which was easy to mess up and would require you to entirely restart for each failure. However, many of these flaws can be overlooked simply because of how charming the game is. Blood has a fun story, genuine laughs, and a brilliant cartoony aesthetic. While it does have some rough edges, it is still a fun little adventure that's worth looking into if you think you'd click with its tone. I still think it could have had a better title, though. And then
sure.
Diana Croce over at Game Skinny gave it a 6 out of 10 and says, Blood is a hard game to like. Mechanically, it's plagued with issues that I hadn't seen in an indie game since 2013's Little Do. The story is hard to love too. It's easy to blame all of its faults on its It's easy to blame all its faults on the inadequate game that surrounds it, but Blood's story is fully capable of undermining itself. That said, if you take the game as it is and ignore those problems, you'll find that Blood has plenty to give back. Whether you'll find this exchange worthy, it's up to you. Again, one we had seen, action RPG, dungeon crawling kind of thing. I have it on my PlayStation. I kept trying to jump into it on the Portal, and I kept being too tired. Where it's like, you know how you're starting a new game, and it's like, I wanted to get right to the action, and here's a bunch of dialogue, and I'm like, well, I got to talk to everybody. I got to do this. I don't think I'm going to go back to it just based on the little bit I saw of like, okay, I get it, and like, I don't have that much of a soft spot for this animation style to begin with. But I'm glad it's doing well enough here.
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Andy's the one that put me onto this when he played the demo a while back, and he was really into it there. I just haven't had the time. I wish the reviews were a little higher to be like, oh man, and also it needs a better name. Like, I feel like the name is going to really hurt the potential of this game. Because I mean, just look at this. I feel like it sells itself. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was picturing a completely different game when you would talk about like #Blood, and I didn't realize it was this game that I remember like us seeing at some sort of direct or something. I was like, oh damn, this looks like just straight up ripped from like Cartoon Network in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it looks sick as hell.
Well, it's out now. Everybody can get it. Try it out. But Tim, video games releasing are big news.
They're so big.
I want smaller news. Say the tiniest news I need to know about. Where should I go?
You go to the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items that you need to know about.
Number 7, the last one, Wii News. VGC reports Time Splitters has been rated for PS4 and PS5, suggesting the classic first-person shooter could be headed to PlayStation Plus soon.
Let's fucking go, Tim.
I know.
You, me, Mike, let's get on a stream, play some Time Splitters.
I mean, dude, I'm so down. Give me 2, give me Future Perfect. Time Splitters is so great. Although, I don't know how well it hold up. I feel like it's a GoldenEye Perfect Dark type scenario.
I'm a little worried about that for sure, but you know, it'll still be nostalgic for 30 minutes at least.
Yep.
Your next piece of Wii News. Call of Duty Cross Fallout sees Task Force 141 join the Vault Dwellers, available June 20th. There's a trailer to toss up. The Tracer Pack also comes out. The Vault Dweller Bundle features over 15 items and is available on June 20th. If you are concerned, yes, you will see the one, the only Soap McTavish here in a 141 Vault jumpsuit out there taking clowns down. Look, you got your little Vault Boy thing there. You got your Pip Boy there, but you got your Vault Boy keychain dangly thing on your gun. I forget what they call them. Gun bling. They call it gun bling. Anyways, June 20th. Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, all the Xboxes, the Nintendo Switch, and PC in September. And if I don't see Snowbike Mike playing this, everything he ever said about wanting EA Big back is bullshit.
This was one of the big things from yesterday, right?
One of the big things.
One of the really big things from the Switch yesterday.
That's why I got it broken out here in the Wii News, you know what I mean? Because it's big, but it's also small, but it's also this. And I mainly want Snowbike Mike to play this.
Doo-doo.
Mortal Kombat 1 has a new patch that finally removes the 30 frames per second cap for cutscenes on PC.
Cool.
There you go, everybody. PC. Forza Horizon 5 has the DeLorean, the Jurassic Park Jeeps, and more in the Universal Icons car pack. This is what made me actually turn on Forza Horizon 5. And let me tell you, my son, who's obsessed with cars, is now obsessed with Forza Horizon 5. He just does donuts, but it's still exciting. I'm stoked.
It's a fun game. Controller. You were saying he's accelerating?
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
sweet.
what he's been doing before when he plays Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 is I have everything on auto. And so I have to hit the acceleration button because he doesn't understand the shoulder button. But he's using the backbone because he wants to play upstairs on Forza. And so I finally got his little finger up there and he understood acceleration R2. So we're in, guys.
Big moment.
This is a big one. Look at that. I'm playing this shit. And then finally, while yesterday was all Nintendo, Marvel Spider-Man 2 got those 8 new costumes in the free update. So you can get out there and do that.
Whatever Spider can.
Do whatever Spider can. We asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames and, of course, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. Sal Romano writes in and says, the Indiana Jones in December release window, that comes from The Verge's Tom Warren, who said that's what he's heard it's targeting. And then Kebab says, Luigi's Mansion 2 is not a rename. Dark Moon was called 2 in European territories. You're in America now, though, Kebab, so new to us. Right? Get him, Tim. Get him, Tim. Tell him about the USA of A.
Yeah, tell me all about your Philosopher's Stone. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! Don't even start me on that shit. We're gonna do some super chats to get you out of here. Matthew Morales wrote in, said, "Yo, Tim and Greg, I just proposed and I'm very excited to be the engaged one now. Thank you guys for all the laughs and insight on gaming over the years."
Congratulations! That's fantastic.
Yes, congratulations. I'm glad they said yes. CJ says, how is Fantasy Critic looking? You know, we are going to do a Fantasy Critic check-in. It was originally scheduled for this week. However, the Nintendo stuff moved things around. So I believe it actually got bumped from next week as well because there's so many awesome embargo things happening next week. But we'll get there. You can always check it out, though. kindoffunny.com/KF League 2024, I believe, is what the URL is. If not, find Snowbike Mike and he'll tell you all about it. Bander SN gave a super chat and said they keep showing Avowed Combat, which is not an RPG's strong point. They should just get Todd Howard to talk about the game. It'd sell more that way. Haha. That'd be fun if Todd Howard was like, hey, I'm done talking about our games.
Yeah,
let's talk about an Obsidian game. We're all in the same family now. Don't worry about it. And final question, or super chat, comes from Nightlife, who says, love the new Pride merch, kindoffunny.com/store. Any chance we can get it in white? Friday, I gather friends to watch you guys. Tim, congrats and blessings. Game show rocks. No, you're not going to get it in white. I'll be honest with you. Never say never. Maybe in the future, but anytime soon, no.
Although, I mean, there are color options though. Like, have you checked?
I have not checked.
White's
anything.
an option. It might be, but it might not be.
Tim's going to check. You click on it.
It doesn't seem like it.
No, of course not. Look at Roger. What a good-looking man. You know, killing it with these clear glasses too.
Good for him. He's on the beach.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily in the Tank. Remember, each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love that, we'd love it if you helped support us. Of course, we're an 11-person small business. You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny or youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Get the $10 Kinda Funny membership. Get all of our shows ad-free. Get the ability to watch us record the afternoon podcast like Daredevil.
Yes.
This afternoon. I'm going to get a beer for that one. Daredevil this afternoon. And of course, Gregway each and every weekday in your ears and eyes. Of course, if you have no bucks tossed away, no big deal. Like, subscribe, share wherever you are, rate the podcast, rate the thing, do the damn thing. And remember that we are all about live talk shows, meaning that it is not over right now. We might be ending Games Daily, but that means the Games Cast is about to spin up and go through the Summer Game Fest Awards for 2024. And when that winds down, so begins the stream where Mike's playing his GOTY contender, Chained Together. I don't even know what this game's going to look like. I'm interested.
It's going to be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.